Next time you feel dumb, watch this tape.
I think there's plenty of evidence of collusion or conspiracy in plain sight.
Trump has the Kremlin clan surrounding him. I believe there's been collusion.
It's starting to smell more and more like collusion.
We saw cold, hard evidence of the Trump campaign, indeed the Trump family, eagerly intending to collude possibly with Russia.
Breaking news.
A bombshell.
Today is a turning point. Today was historically bad for President Trump.
Today was a turning point.
A turning point.
We're at a turning point here.
The beginning of the end for the Trump presidency.
The beginning of the end.
Breaking news. Another bombshell out of the White House. I believe this is the beginning of the end. I do too. It's really the beginning of the end. The beginning of the end. He may be feeling the walls closing in on him. All the walls closing in on him.
Russians, Russia, Russia, Moscow,
Russia, Putin, Russia against us. Russians again.
We haven't ever had to reckon with the possibility that somebody has ascended to the presidency of the United States to serve the interests of another country rather than our own.
Beginning of the end.
The walls are closing in. The walls closing in. The walls closing in. Breaking overnight bombshell. This is a very dramatic day, and I think it might be near a tipping point.
You think this is a tipping point?
This is unbelievable. This is remarkable. Have you ever seen anything like this?
His presidency is crippled.
December 1st, 2017, you can mark it down. This is the day that everything changed. We begin with the bombshell. The beginning of the end? The beginning of the end. The beginning of the end. The beginning of the end. The beginning of the end.
Reminded people, took Director Clapper at his word on this show, who said there has been no evidence that has been found of collusion.
But at the time, we had no evidence of such collusion.
Well, first of all, I was surprised to see Director Clapper say that. There is circumstantial evidence of collusion.
What I worry about, Rachel, is that after this election, this president's going to wholesale fire people. That's my prediction for tonight.
As far as anybody can tell, this same Russian oligarch, the fertilizer guy, he also owns this nearly $100 million airplane. And we know from flight records that on November 3rd, so 5 days before the presidential election, his plane, the Fertilizer King, his plane showed up in Little Concord, North Carolina, in that tiny one-strip airport on the same day that Donald Trump was in Concord, North Carolina, holding a rally.
And it's a painful, anguishing thing to acknowledge that the President of the United States is a clear and present danger to the national security of the United States.
No collusion.
No collusion.
No collusion.
And I say it all the time. There was no collusion.
But repetition does not make something true. And while it is the case that there is not yet proof of Russian collusion, there is a ton of evidence of Russian collusion, and that evidence is getting stronger by the day.
And that evidence is getting stronger by the day.
And I think this president, in astonishing speed, has remade the Republican Party in his own deeply flawed image. And that will be ruinous to the Republican Party.
The Senate Intelligence Committee is still investigating Russia's election interference.
The Senate Intelligence Committee continues its bipartisan investigation with no end in sight.
It really is just down to the Senate and you fellows there.
I do think there's positive progress being made by the Senate Intelligence Committee.
The Senate Intel report is what most Americans are hoping a congressional inquiry looks like.
We want to get to some breaking news right now. On the Senate Intelligence Committee, their investigation into Russian election interference and what they have and have not uncovered.
Hallie, after 2 years and interviewing more than 200 witnesses, the Senate Intelligence Committee has not uncovered any direct evidence of a conspiracy between the Trump campaign and Russia.
Republican Senator Richard Burr claims the Senate Intelligence Committee has found no evidence of collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia.
Craig, both Republicans and Democrats are telling us that they found no direct evidence of a conspiracy between the Trump campaign and Russia. This is a bipartisan investigation, and what I found is that the Democrats don't dispute that characterization.
In the end, it was all fake. And they knew that. They knew it wasn't real. They were lying from the very first day.